Welcome back to the Ed Show. Greedy and careless oil companies are trashing our nation's environment. Look at the facts. BP has been running ads saying that the Gulf is open for business after the 2010 Deepwater Horizon disaster. These ads are misleading at best. BP officially ended cleanup operations from the spill in June of 2013. But residents of the Gulf Coast know there is more work to be done, a lot more. This week, a 1,200-pound tar mat was discovered floating near Pensacola, Florida. This is the third massive tar mat discovered in the past year. The oil is still everywhere. How about this? 4.6 million pounds of oil material were collected in the year 2013 alone. Last month, I spoke with the largest shrimp buyer in Louisiana. He told me the Gulf is still a mess.
BP still has these commercials saying everything's open and everything's good. It's not true, you know. We still got 3 areas that remain closed from the spill. So some people to the west of it was still doing good, but it's getting less and less. If you look at what happened in Alaska 5 years after the spill, when they had a complete collapse of the industry, and I got a bad feeling we looking at the same thing. There's a lot of people suffering down there. Every day we got to see it. I mean, BP ought to be ashamed of themselves, and the government ought to be ashamed of themselves for allowing it to happen.
To make things worse, BP is appealing settlements of people affected by the spill. The Supreme Court ruled last week BP must continue to make payments while appeals are ongoing. Well, on Monday, it was reported BP stopped payments to claimants who opted out of larger settlement cases. BP caused this mess in the Gulf. Now they are running away before the job is done. Meanwhile, there are new oil disasters every day. An oil tank damaged by flooding in Colorado leaked 7,500 gallons of crude into the Padre River. In North Dakota, over 300 oil spills have gone unreported since January of 2012. North Dakota is now planning to double its pipeline capacity in the next 2 years. They will jump from over 700,000 barrels a day to 1.4 million barrels a day. There's no doubt oil companies are polluting the environment. When something happens, they don't report it or weasel their way out of the cleanup. But what about those folks who have been affected down in the Gulf? Are they ever going to be made whole? Joining me tonight on our rapid response panel, attorney Brent Kuhn and conservation biologist Dr. Reese Halter. Great to have both of you with us tonight. We spent time with both of you back during the oil spill several years ago. Mr. Kuhn, let me ask you first. Will the people of the Gulf ever be made whole by BP?
Hell no, Ed. You know, the sad thing is that 4 years into this litigation, 75% of the claimants who have made claims have been stonewalled and denied. And in fact, today, BP filed a motion with the court where all of these cases are proceeding, requesting the right to go back and make a claim to get their money back from the people that they've made payments to in the past.
So where does this go? I mean, they have enough money. I mean, they're just simply going to wear people down, as I see it at this point, and weasel out of paying and making restitution on people that have had their livelihoods disrupted.
Well, they have. They have worn down everyone. They've worn down the judiciary. They've worn down the legislative branch. They're winning on every front because they have the resources and the capital to do so, and the individual affected victims have very little in ways of combating it.
Dr. Halter, BP has stopped the cleanup. How much oil do you think is left? And what does it tell you from your expertise on this when these tar bands keep showing up in massive amounts?
Well, Ed, the Gulf is very sick. Let's look at what the facts here. The toothed whales, including the dolphins and the bluefin tunas, are referred to by my colleagues in Australia as the doctors of the sea because they prevent diseases from becoming epidemics worldwide. The doctors in the Gulf of Mexico are very sick. Let me give you 3 examples quickly of what's going on. The largest toothed whales are the sperm whales, 60 feet long, 65 tons, and Earth's record deep divers at 2 miles deep. the population of between 1,100 and 1,600 sperm whales are the most polluted whales ever recorded on Earth. The Gulf's dolphins are all suffering from a number of lung diseases that are directly related to the BP Deepwater Horizon disaster that pumped the equivalent of 318 Olympic-sized swimming pools of crude petroleum and another 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools of core exit oil dispersant into the Gulf. And lastly, the critically endangered Eastern Atlantic bluefin tunas, the 3/4 of a ton sprinters of the seas that can beat a Ferrari off the line, are showing my colleagues signs of life-threatening arrhythmia or heartbeat irregularities. Ed, the population of these beautiful creatures is down 80% from the 2010 BP Deepwater disaster.
You're giving us sound, Doctor, that we don't hear anywhere. It's almost like the country's not even paying attention to this. The damage has been horrific. You talked to us a few years ago about the coral reefs and the damage that has been done there. Brent, is the Supreme Court ruling payments that they must continue a step in the right direction, or is BP going to be able to nail that too?
Well, you know, they may still succeed yet in the ability to stonewall those payments. All the Supreme Court has done to date is release the injunction staying payments, but there's still a lot of underlying issues and problems with the trial court in applying the rulings that have been effectuated to date and how to calculate a loss and pay anyone. In the meantime, as I said before, BP today, as their next step at the trial court level, filed motions with the court not only to continue the stay on paying anyone, but actually they filed a motion requesting the ability to go back and claim reimbursement of payments that they've made to claimants in the past. It's asinine.
And finally, Dr. Halter, is this reversible in any way? Can the Earth recover? Can the Gulf recover from what has happened?
Sure, it can recover, Ed, in 100, 150, 250 years. But I want to remind the audience, 3 out of every 4 breaths of air, irrespective of where you live on Earth, come from our oceans and our Gulf. And our oceans are sick, man. And we've got to protect our environment or there is no economy.
Amen to that. Brent Kuhn and Dr. Reese Halter, we'll have you back. We'll do more on this. I think the environment is a huge issue with our politicians. The country is awake to this in many respects. Climate change is upon us. It's a lot different today as far as awareness than it was 5 years ago. It will be a big difference in the election cycle. Great to have both of you with us. Still ahead, this morning I was approached by a man who said he wants to see Dick Cheney be the next president. Lionel joins me to discuss what would the world be like with that.